Welcome back to Unranked Podcast. You have Elijah here, as well as Grant. Another episode. We're gonna start off with a hometown hero, and that's Cade Cunningham, and what him and the Pistons are putting together. We're about midway through the season here, a couple of weeks away from the All-Star break, and
Yeah,
he's, in my eyes, at least clear-cut Rookie of the Year. He's putting together a phenomenal first half of his career, first half of the rookie season, I should say. And what are your thoughts on him? What are your thoughts on what they're cooking up as far as a trade package and just state of the Pistons?
yeah. No, I think it's very clear as day, and I think we talked about it quite a bit to where we felt like, you know, was he the right decision? A lot between like him and Jalen Green in that comparison. I think it's very clear that we definitely got the right guy. And I didn't really watch him a ton in college. Just kind of really know who he was until it started getting more later into the year. But I just didn't realize he could do like everything. Like he just had a stat line. It was like 34, 8, and 8, and like 8 points, 8 rebounds, like 2 blocks and 2 steals or something like that. Just I don't know. He's always just finding his way to be like where he needs to be all the time. I mean, he's just getting more and more aggressive. Like he kind of started out rocky. Had the ankle injury to start the season off. It was kind of iffy as far as his shooting, but he's really like hitting his stride now. And it's kind of crazy because you would think a lot of rookies will start to kind of like hit that wall and start to kind of like fall off a little bit. I mean, it's about to be, February's next week, and he's about to really start getting into his own, which is awesome because that's, you start getting that more of that buzz, from Detroit, in the Detroit area. It's like Detroit sports. I mean, he's probably like honestly that one like bright spot that we kind of got to hang our hat on when it comes to Detroit sports. I don't really watch a ton of baseball or follow hockey, so what it's worth. But in my opinion, I feel like, he's going to really start to be like that face, has the potential, or already is, but really going to, kind of be like that face of like the Detroit sports as a whole. And it's just been cool to kind of see him do his thing the last few weeks. And he kept hitting like 29. It's like his career high. He kept scoring 29, 29, 29, like did like 3 or 4 times. So it's kind of cool to see him, start to, just like last night, 34, and kind of start to get to that point. So I'm just looking at this point. I'm like, when he gonna score 40? That's got to be coming at some point. So yeah, that's just my thought on it so far.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think so I didn't watch a lot of him in college. I do kind of a few weeks into the college basketball season. I do always look at mock drafts, and then I tend to
Mm-hmm.
try to pick out some of the guys and watch them just to try to see what they're about a little bit. Uh,
Right.
and so I did have my eye on him a few times last year when I randomly watched him play. And to be perfectly honest, he didn't never play that well. I watched him in the tournament. They lost. He
Yeah.
had a lot of fouls. But I looking at his, like you said, his overall package as far as basketball game is just it really is put together, especially for such a young player. And if you take away, I think his first 3 games in the league, his shooting percentages go through the roof because he started out in his career like 0 of 20 or something. So
Yeah.
when you consider that, he's shooting right over 40%. That's something I've been looking for, waiting for him to crack that 40% mark. He
Yeah.
just did that. I think he's averaging like 16, 5 and 5. So
Yep.
he's looking great. That's right in line with what LaMelo Ball did last year. You see how he has that team looking
Mm-hmm.
down in Charlotte. That's not too far off from some of the other players. A handful, like I drafted a handful of years ago. Their rookie numbers, and just to see what somebody like a Trae Young did that had similar stats, or what somebody like LaMelo Ball is doing in year 2.
Yeah.
Those are kind of the players that I would imagine he's going to be eventually in that stratosphere in a very short window. Um,
Right.
if he continues this at this pace, he's probably going to be in the upper teens instead of 16. He'll probably be closer to like 18 or 19 points a game, shooting
Mm-hmm.
at a mid low 40 percentage, and that's phenomenal. So he's definitely the face of our team. And I think the entire city's kind of getting behind him. I know every time I get on Twitter, I see it.
Yeah.
Him making
Everybody's excited.
and him starting to become more of a national star. Him making not Luka, but Jokic look crazy. And when he was trying to guard him the other day, that's the MVP of the league. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Things like that. The other day, Rudy Gobert, a couple defensive player of the year award winner. Had him around dancing around the free throw line and hit a shot in his face. These are things that I
All
think
stars.
Yeah, that all-star. Yeah, yep, agreed.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always kind of tough too, because like, when you number one pick, like for me, I was just like, man, like I just really hope like, you're gonna have to kind of pick it up quick, because like I feel like in like football, it's kind of like, all right, like that's kind of a different game. It kind of takes some time sometimes. Like sometimes guys is ready, they got to be ready to kind of go in and kind of like do what they need to do. With him, it was those first few games, I was a little concerned. I'm like, just how he was going to like adapt and such, but it was just kind of him catching his wind. And I mean, he's just really showing that he was deserving of being like that franchise player and that number one pick, which is really exciting to see. And yeah, I guess to kind of just shift gears here, Jeremy Grant, his name has been in trade discussion. I think pretty much like from like last year, he's been in trade discussion ever since he signed him, damn near, which is just like kind of nuts to me. And I kind of see why. I mean, I feel like, I think one thing I've told you a couple of different times, like he's a great scorer, but like that's just all he does. And I just like, I don't know if this makes sense. I don't know, I feel like it makes sense. It's like he kind of just needs to do more if you just gonna kind of like try to be that guy, So he's obviously showing he's a little dispensable, or he might may very well be getting traded here in the next few weeks. So what are your thoughts on that? I know we talked about John Collins potentially, being like I've seen maybe like a swap just straight up, 1-for-1, which I wouldn't be too opposed to. I feel like he'd be a better fit, in the Pistons system. But, I just want to kind of see what you thought about that.
Yeah, no, so I think Jeremy Grant, we got him from a free agent signing from Denver, I believe. And that's when he kind of came on, the year or two before we signed him as far as like the second to third wheel in Denver. And I think that's more or less he wanted a shot at it at a team that was his own. So that's why he came to us. I think in a few years in, I think he could see that he can't necessarily carry a franchise as the first fiddle. So I would say that's interesting, just kind of dynamic for him to figure out. And then he's obviously any player wants to get to a team that's on the upward swing. So I would say him to land in Atlanta is not a bad situation there either. That him and Trae Young could be interesting pairing as well. And I think it's really a win-win situation. I think that's an interesting pairing for them. And then on the inverse, we get a great younger big man averaging 17 and 8.
Yeah.
And a good pairing for Cade. And then we also will have another top 5 pick in the draft that we can go ahead and try to get a third dynamic player in that situation. If we already have a big man and we have a primary ball handler or a guy that can be a primary ball handler, then your options are a lot more open as far as what you can do, or the path could be a lot more clear as far as who you should select.
Right.
That's something I'm looking forward to. Hopefully they can figure that out in the next week or two, before the trade deadline, which I think will probably be in a few weeks here out.
Yeah, I think it's like usually like the second, third week of February.
Yeah. So hopefully they can figure that out. And I'm fully expecting just wake up one day and have a blockbuster trade that the Pistons pull it off overnight. John Collins, straight up, I would do that every day of the week. I think that's, like I said, a win-win for both situations. I'm still not horribly against Ben Simmons, but that ship seems like it may have sailed. They seem to want too much, and I definitely don't want to give up, like I said, Bay for him. But if we can get rid of just a 1-for-1, keep all of our capital as far as picks go, keep Sadiq Bey, also have him out there with John Collins and Cade, and then potentially go get the Duke kid or a snipe shooter, whoever we can potentially find in the draft. The path is a lot more open as far as if we put this piece in here, now we know what we have. So I agree.
I think I like Collins. I think he's just a better fit. He's a good like pick and roll guy. Got to watch him play quite a bit last year during the playoffs. And that, actually on TV. Great pick and roll guy. He can shoot the three. He plays defense. I feel like he'd be a better fit than Jeremy. Like I think Jeremy's a great player. I just feel like, how like his game, and what he was trying to do, it just didn't really make a ton of sense as far as like what like the fit.
Agreed. Especially now that we have a better Jeremy Grant and Cade Cunningham. We have a guy that can shoot the ball better. He can handle the ball better. He can distribute better. He's willing to do all of that. And so he kind of got hijacked, and it's not his fault. He is a good player. He'll be. I think he would flourish in Atlanta with that team.
Yeah.
And so I think it's nothing against him. He just he got his position kind of robbed and took by another younger guy. The franchise took a different swing. And as far as John Collins, he became a bit of at least for basketball fanatics, a bit of a superstar. Wasn't horribly familiar with him prior to last season. Watched him throughout the year, and then playoffs, he's dunking on people, catching bodies. He made a real name for himself, and I would love to have that excitement and that type of player. And like you said, if he could shoot the three, keep the floor spread, 'cause that's what we're gonna have to do with Cade. Is I imagine he'll be very, very similar as far as LeBron or KD where they're beneficial when you surround them around shooters. And keep the center of the floor open for them to do more or less what they want. So I agree.
Yeah. And I think, just kind of, I know we kind of got into just what we would like to kind of see in the next couple of years or so, but yeah, I think Cade, at the point, Sadiq at the 2, kind of fill in that, that 3 spot, whoever we kind of decide to get in the draft, and then have Collins and Stewart. I think that's a very, very, very formidable. And I think even
$70 million in cap space to go put a couple on top.
So I was even saying even because then it's obviously being able to get a top 5 pick, that's going to be a guy that we expect to play right away and start most likely. It's man, if you can even find a way to, find a veteran to kind of squeeze in there, you got Cade and Stewart and Bay, they'll be 3 years. Stewart and Bay will be 3-year guys by then. Then Cade will be coming into his second year. Throw Collins in there, throw a vet in there, just kind of, try to solidify, get some more veteran leadership in there on top of the cap space and get some better players off the bench. I think that's definitely a good little nucleus so they can start to form. And I feel like it's really going to be, like you said, a matter of us just kind of waking up, phone going off, whatever. It kind of looks like getting that notification, and when that trade is done, and it'll probably catch some steam. Because I also heard that Collins, he don't really like what's going on in Atlanta. So they probably, and they just traded Cam Reddish for a dishwasher, basically. So it's not they're pretty ready to kind of get some new faces in there and kind of just start fresh on their own end too, which helps us. I agree.
And this is we didn't talk about this at all, and I think it's a good topic. So hold on, blindside you too much on this. What looking at Cade, I think he's played probably a good 30, 40 games of his career now. And who would you try to compare him to, or how do you see his game developing, I should say?
I think, I see him kind of being like a LaMelo. I think he's a little bit of a better scorer than LaMelo. I feel like, kind of like a combination like LaMelo. I guess when I say this, just not saying he's going to be like a LeBron type player, but he definitely stat sheet stuffer. And it's just they played a lot better since he, after he got hurt, came on, and he's definitely one of them guys and kind of make the team better. I have to ponder that a little bit, but I think right now, just off the top of the head, I'll probably say LaMelo's that best comparison, excuse me, because LaMelo, he got the Hornets humming, and they were trash a couple years back. So
I agree, and it's interesting. Something I kind of struggle with just thinking about it before I brought it up. I've thought about it previous, but I do think he's a unique player in the sense that he's a big, lanky point guard. He can shoot the 3 pretty well, and I know it is just unique. It's a unique.
Luka come to mind too.
Yeah, that was going to be one of mine. Because I think he's kind of a new crop, and LeBron is pretty close to this crop as well. But a new crop of play, because LeBron is more bulky, and a lot of these younger guys are lanky, thin, tall, skinny. Even somebody that hasn't came out yet, but somebody like Imani Bates or somebody, they're just real tall, like KD almost, a secondary version of that. And I think that's kind of what these new guys are. So, it's interesting. I think we just have a great young piece. And I look forward to what he can bring.
It'd be good too to just kind of be able to shake it up a little bit because if they can get up off of Jeremy Grant, bring in Collins, trade away a couple bench players or something, maybe bring in like a younger vet, what I'm saying, just kind of like try to find just some different pieces to where we don't want to ship off like everybody, but just try to kind of find a way to. I think the next step is we got all this young talent. Now it's time to focus on like veteran leadership. So I just feel like, having them guys like, I don't know, like a PJ Tucker, what I'm saying? Kind of like a Bobby Portis, like those types of players that can go get you either D up, you're one of the best players on the other team, make it hard for them, or can get you a good 15 and 10, like night in and night out, and just really know how to play the game. So it kind of just helps them as a whole long term. So if we can try to just find a way to, get some more players like that, I think it'd be good too long term.
Yeah, no, for sure. Good situation in Detroit basketball.
Yeah.
Try to shift gears here. Talk about another beloved team of ours.
Yep.
Just come off a great football season. Obviously, heartbreak near the end of the year here in the last game versus Georgia. Mm-hmm. A lot of rumblings as far as what our coaching staff may look like, or what who's staying, who's leaving, who departed. It's a lot happening. We had a great recruiting class this last few weeks ago. We showed that up. Harbaugh signed a lot of great players. He seems to at least be entertaining the NFL. Whether that's just to get a bigger contract or not, more than likely. But he seems to be at least entertaining it to his advantage. We just lost our defensive coordinator, so it's kind of slight turmoil. I'll feel a whole lot better once he officially says he's staying or inks a new deal. But a little bit of turmoil for the Maize and Blue here. I guess a little bit of uncertainty is a better word.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what to think, man. Honestly, I just feel like the competitor in him is kind of like he feels like he has kind of like unfinished business in the NFL. He made it to like two AFC championship games or something like that.
He made it to the Super Bowl, didn't he?
Or NFC championship, yeah. But he made it to Super Bowl one time. I think he might have got to 2 NFC championships. He had 49ers looking amazing when he was there. I think he's really one of the only coaches. He even did better than Saban did. When it came coming from college to the NFL, and he got kind of, and I like his last year, I think they went like 9-6-1 or something like that, like 9-7, and they just kind of decided to mutually part ways. I just think he kind of like in his mind, he's like, he just wants to be able to win a Super Bowl. He wants to be able to show that he can just be very effective, be very successful at both levels. And I also feel like, I was talking with some people, they didn't really agree with me on this, but I just feel like he kind of felt a certain kind of way about taking that pay cut. If you look at it, and I get it, this is University of Michigan, we brought here to beat Notre Dame, beat Ohio State, beat Michigan State. That's just what it is, and he knows what he signed up for because he's a Michigan man. But when it comes down to it, it is kind of crazy that it's they cut his salary in half for just not beating just those select teams. His record overall at Michigan for the last 7 years is 65 and 20 or something like that. Something along those lines. And I feel like part of him's all right, I did what I did last year. We might need to relook at this contract. It was cool that he took all them bonuses and kind of donated them back to the school and all that. And I just don't, it may not be a money thing. I could be totally wrong, but I also feel like that was kind of a slap in the face, because he had that one down year, the COVID year, but only played 6 games. Yeah. But he's averaged, 9 to 10 wins and, in the last 6, 7 seasons. So it's I just feel like he might kind of be feeling a certain type of way to where they might be having to be all right, did what you did this year. All right, maybe we can relook at that contract. So I feel like it's either that, and then he also, I feel like he has unfinished business in the NFL.
Yeah, I believe he's using. I do think you made a very valid point that he probably was. He didn't have he had nothing to stand on at the end of last season.
Yeah.
He, everything he talked, it was just all bad. He could have easily been fired at the end of last year, and much of the fan base wouldn't have had an issue with it. Or, would have understood that there was a thing that could have or been more than feasible to happen. So we also can't take that out of the picture here. With that, he was coming off of that 2020 was beyond horrible, the COVID year. But even the year before that, it was a disappointment year. He got blown off the face of the earth versus Ohio State. Pretty sure we lost to Michigan State that year. We lost the bowl game in a disappointment misery as well. And then you follow that up with a 2-win season, regardless of how many games we played that year. You ducked Ohio State at the end of the year. And overall, we just looked like to be honest, a shitty team, shitty franchise, shitty university as far as football goes. So he did bring us from the depths. So I do think last year he brought us from the depths this year. And he probably is looking to renegotiate that a little bit. And as you just brought up him donating all that money, that's probably a bit of a slap you to the university as well. I don't even need this shit.
That's how I look at it. He literally said it's just money.
Yeah, I don't even need it. I don't even need, I had NFL money. I was
for $35 million when he first signed to Michigan. So it's like.
And I got probably 10, 15-year NFL money here. I played coach for the 49ers. I don't need these little couple mil here. I'm actually donated to a local charity. But you're gonna come and bring me this bag this year, or I'm gonna go coach the Raiders.
Right.
So I do think they're each side or each party is showing, they're calling each other's bluffs. That maybe isn't the best situation long term. Hopefully they would be able to work things out, but it's more or less, hey, we know you have nowhere else to go because you're not going to get another job. So take a pay cut. And then this year, hey, I just won coach of the year, got you a Big Ten title, beat Ohio State, come with the bag. So I do. I think they're going to have to come back with he'll probably get a signing bonus for all that money he donated times a couple. And and he'll be happily ever after. He'll be back shirtless, come springtime.
That's literally. So I was trying to kind of explain, I talked to a couple people around that, and, I looked at him as giving that money back as, like you said, like a slap in the, kind of like telling them, like, all right, like, we did what we did. I turned around, came through with results. I'm going to go ahead and just give this back to y'all, kind of taking in, and like I said, and how I look at this, and I say this really carefully because this is the University of Michigan, and they do got to beat the Ohio States and Michigan States and Notre Dame. They got, what I'm saying? He needs to start winning those bowl games consistently. He needs to start to, like, build off of this momentum. But when it comes down to it, I mean, it's like, I think we've always said, it's like, who else you going, who's a better man for the job? The kids, they all got great grades. Ain't nobody getting in trouble. They're all graduating. Like, I know it's like, also getting insight from a sports perspective, it's always kind of like, beat these schools, beat these schools, beat these schools. But I think in his eyes, it's also like, I'm also at the University of Michigan putting together some pretty damn good football teams. And it's kind of hard, like with like these like school requirements, like the grades and stuff like that as well. So a little bit of both. I definitely feel like you said, it's kind of like everybody, both of them are kind of like playing their hand and just kind of seeing how it's going to shake. And I think we probably won't really, what kind of sucks too, we probably won't really get like our answer until like complete end of the NFL season. It might not end up being until like February, maybe March. I would just kind of hope that he don't pull like a D'Antonio and just kind of shoot out of there.
I agree. I think the NFL coach, all right, so nobody left in the playoffs says I was going to get rid of the coach.
Yeah.
So it's really coming down to like 49ers, or not 49ers, but Raiders and Vikings.
Yeah.
I would say I don't know how long they would sit without a coach because you got to start prepping for the draft. You got to go ahead and get shit rolling for that type of stuff. So, I mean, I'm sure you're right that it'll be a while longer, but I think they also need to get some things rolling as well, as far as –
it's like, and it's too, it's like, because it's like, when is he going to be like, all right, like, because spring ball probably starting like really like late February. So it's like, when is he going to be like, okay, like I'm either going to stay or I'm going to go. Like, that's what I just kind of find more interesting than anything is like, you kind of got these like, kind of like these timelines in both sports, college and NFLs, where it's like, all right, like, when is he going to kind of make his decision?
Yeah, for sure. I think bottom line, I do think he'll stay. I don't know if, I think when he first started there, I thought this could be like a 20-year thing. I do think I do think he is. I think he'll stay, but I also don't think he's going to be here for the next 10 to 15 years. I do think ultimately you are right. He probably, especially if he continues to have success anywhere to this level, let's say he repeats the same type of year again, I think he might bounce. Yeah.
He's not a commodity. Like I said, he the best, like what do you want to call it, two-way coach, college and NFL. He the best to do it. I think Pete Carroll, he had some decent success, obviously, with USC, and then winning the Super Bowl with Seattle. He did pretty well when he was in – I think he did okay when he was in New England too, but it's rare.
It is.
Because we watch a lot more of the coaches like Urban Meyer. I mean, he just shit down his leg. And then even a coach from like Baylor at, in Carolina, he's like –
Charlie Wise.
Romeo. Yeah, a lot of them – I almost said Romeo Crowell. That's not – he wasn't in college. But there's Nick Saban. Yep.
No, he went the other way. He went the other way, I think. But yeah. No, I agree. He's a hot commodity. I think if he puts together another year like this, he definitely could be on the way out. I think we at least got him another season or so. I think overall, and it is Michigan, like you said, who's the better man for the job? I think we do to some degree have to have a next man up mentality, and I do like the idea of hiring within Michigan men, quote unquote. I know that's the thing that we do historically anyway, but I think that's something I would personally want if that does happen. Anything catastrophic as far as he leaves, I think ultimately I would want to hire from somebody that's a Michigan man that's going to have that passion and continue to keep that legacy going.
Yep, 100%. Yeah. So yeah, we will just take it back, or talk about the NFL quite a bit there in that little segment. So we're gonna keep it all NFL for this next topic. We want to kind of chat around and ask Stafford. This is somebody we watched since we was like 12, 13, 14 years old.
Yeah.
So it's been kind of cool. Obviously we've seen all the criticism. We've seen all the criticism. We've also seen all the great play that Stafford has had with the Lions that doesn't get the credit that it deserves. So it's just been kind of cool to just, see him with this, so far 2-0 in the playoffs. Very good chance of, beating and playing the 49ers this weekend. Might be able to grab a Super Bowl. There's a lot of different things, that are starting to, kind of unfold for him, which I'm very happy for. Had the biggest game of his life this past Sunday. We talked about before we hopped on. I always jump up and down cheering when I saw him, saw him do what he used to do all the time in Detroit, except he never really got credit for it because, that was like a regular season, when they were 2-7 and already kind of out of the mix of a lot of things. But, what are your thoughts as far as just what you've seen from Stafford? I think they're going to win the Super Bowl. I'm going to go on record and just say that I feel like they're going to end up, pulling it out. But yeah, what do you think? What did you like about this past weekend?
Yeah, no. So I second a lot of that. I think so I'll be the first to say I was not pro Stafford when he first got him. That was when I was anti let's draft. I didn't know who he was. He signed that $80 million deal or whatever it was. He broke his shoulder right off the rip, but he has done nothing but earn my respect from damn near day one, basically. He's a phenomenal quarterback. He's the definition of a real leader. I think he's the only reason that our team was remotely
competitive,
or I was going to say competent for the last 10 years. It's just true. I think we removed him from the situation and we couldn't even get the first pick. We messed that up, but we removed him from the situation and immediately have the first pick in the draft. We see what it's like to have a quarterback that doesn't know how to run a ship that tightly, making the wrong play, making the wrong read, not snapping the ball on time, just making errors on your own time, or errors that are inexcusable. Yeah. So I look at it and I really am. I'm glad that he's in a better situation. Obviously, I would love for us to be in this situation with him, but I'm glad he's in a better situation. I think they'll win the Super Bowl as well. I think they are. They're rolling. That defense. We can't. And it's about time he has a team around him. A lot of times that's what great quarterbacks have. They just don't mess it up. But they have the best defense. They have good receivers, good coaches. They seem to have all of that. And to keep in mind, they played a Tom Brady team who's the Super Bowl champs. Yeah, they were a little beat up, but so were the Rams. We didn't hear about their tackle not being in the game. We didn't hear about their safety. But all that being considered, they made the game a lot closer than it needed to be with 4 fumbles. I can't imagine that happening again. When the last time a team even had 4 fumbles in a game? So yeah. So I can't imagine that happening again. Hopefully Stafford keeps up the ball security, and he's just making the right read. The OBJ and Cooper Kupp combination, it's dirty. I don't know exactly. I mean, 49ers obviously have a phenomenal defense. They'll be able to put together some type of package. But I think it's interesting because they're both great receivers and they're both great for different reasons. They're both good at yards after the catch, amazing yards after the catch receivers. But I'm not sure how. I'm not. You kind of pick your poison on how you want to lose. Are you going to double OBJ and let Cooper Kupp go for 13, 14 catches, or are you going to let OBJ blow the top off the defense? So, I just think they have a lot of things rolling for them, and I hope they pull that Super Bowl off. I think that'd be just amazing for his career. We said this before we hopped on too. If he do that, that'd be 4-3 for his playoff career. Which would just be turning the entire narrative.
Yeah, because I think that's definitely the hope. Because I just don't want it to be like, oh, you guys had Goff and got all the way there and couldn't get it done. What's the difference between having Goff and having Stafford? You know what I'm saying? Where it's clear as day that Stafford is definitely the better quarterback. They wouldn't have won that divisional playoff game without him. He Goff wasn't beating Brady in that situation. So like I said, I'm really, really, always when he win, we win. That's how I'm looking at it. I feel like I also saw something too that said LA fans, they don't even really deserve to have a football team. They could care less about football out there. And now majority of the Lions fans are the ones that are, Rams fans, because we're all, I feel like I haven't met one fan that's not pulling for Stafford. Lions fan has not pulling for Stafford. And I just think it's great. We talked about a little bit too. 0-3 in the career in the playoffs when he was playing in Detroit. By the way, 2 of those games are rigged. And now he's already won 2 this year, on his way to potentially winning his third playoff game. Also want to add that he has a better playoff winning percentage than Aaron Rodgers does since 2017. So go ahead and throw that jab in there. It's just at this point, it's like it's almost gonna be it feels like a storybook ending. It's we're about to kind of see it. Literally it's just a matter of time as far as all the pieces falling in place.
I agree. And we just talked about how phenomenal their defense is, and they've been destroying quarterbacks all entire playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to go against the worst quarterback that they played all playoffs. They're going to go against a guy he's been their Achilles heel, and somehow they're still winning, despite that. So I think that's just going to be interesting to see, how he handles that pressure, and if he completely folds and cracks like I anticipate, then that'll make Stafford and the offensive job that much easier. But they still have to go out there and handle theirs because they're going against a fantastic defense as well. So they have to definitely handle business. But I think the defense is going to carry the way again, hopefully led by turnovers, making Jimmy G, go ahead and speed up that Trey Lance starter position. And ultimately, I just – it's crazy that if Stafford could pull off a Super Bowl win this year, that'd be the same amount of Super Bowls as Aaron Rodgers. I think Breeze only has one. More than Phillip Rivers. That'd be more, so I think he's going to be – you have to start, talking a little differently about Stafford if he can go ahead and pull this out. Obviously, that's 2 more victories on top of this, but I feel very confident that they're at this moment, I feel very confident. I just think that defense is looking – very, very unstoppable.
You got Miller on one side, you got Donald in the middle, you got another pass rusher that's solid. Ramsey, locking down his side of the field. The cards is falling in place. So as long as, obviously Stafford can sometimes get a little turnover happy here and there, just get a little careless with the ball. As long as he can kind of keep this streak up, not doing that, I mean, they're going to be in good shape come Sunday. So
100%. Yeah, no, I feel good. You want the score prediction out? Since we're always wrong anyway, let's do it.
I'm definitely going to give some respect to the Niners just because of what they did, even in Green Bay. Obviously, it's going to be a different scenario. They're playing in a dome, this weekend. I'm going to say like 27-20 Rams.
I'm going to go 27-17 Rams.
Okay.
I think I do, like you said, give a little respect to that defense, but hopefully they get a couple short fields and make it a little easier. I mean, they would have had 50 points on New England. I keep saying New England, but on Buccaneers and Tom Brady, if they not for those fumbles and the missed field goal that was probably a yard short. So they look phenomenal, and I'm hoping he can pull it off again.
Yeah,
you got anything else for people?
No, that's it, man. Like I said, we just rooting for them. I will say real quick, just watch Michigan pull off a very scary, much-needed win in college basketball. It was up like 15, and they ended up winning by 2, and they were down by like 6 with like 3 minutes left. So I think we both kind of caught that. I think we both kind of tracking that. But yeah, other than that, that's all I got, man.
Go Stafford, go Blue.
Yes, sir. Till next time.